Good morning.
Good morning.
Can I have your mark sheets, please? Thank you. I'm Sandra and this is Kerry. What's your name?
My name is Luca.
And what's your name?
Federica.
How old are you?
I'm 13.
Where do you live?
I live in Buccinasco, a small town near Milano.
Thank you. How old are you, Luca?
I'm 13.
Where do you live?
I live in Buccinasco.
Thank you. Now let's talk about school. Luca, what subject do you like best?
My favorite subject is English because I very like all the languages, but English is the best because I very like America.
What clothes do you wear to school?
I wear t-shirt and jeans.
Federica, what time do you finish school?
At 1:15. No, no.
Do you finish school at 4 o'clock?
No, at 2:15.
What do you eat after school?
I eat pasta or meat or fish.
Now, Luca, please tell me something about the homework you have to do.
All the day I have to do my homework, and there are a lot of homework about math, Italian and English.
Do you get a lot of homework every day?
Yes.
Now let's talk about home. Federica, who do you live with?
I live with my mom, my dad, and my 2 sisters.
How many bedrooms are there in your house?
2. I'm one of my parents, and one for me and my sisters.
Luca, where do you watch TV at home?
I watch TV in my camera,
What's your favorite room in your house?
my bedroom.
Federica, please tell me what you like doing at home.
I like listen music, sing, and watch TV.
Do you like cooking?
No, not at all.
Now, in this part of the test, you're going to talk together. Here are some pictures that show different hobbies. Do you like these different hobbies? Say why or why not. I'll say that again. Do you like these different hobbies? Say why or why not. All right, now talk together.
I like watch TV and read the books. And you like read books?
No, I prefer watch TV. And you, do you like play football?
No, because I don't like play with balls. And you like sing or play instruments?
No, it's difficult for me. I prefer play football.
And watch TV?
Yes, I very like it because there are a lot of interesting documentary. And do you like read book?
Yes.
Luca, do you think playing football is fun?
Yes, because there are a lot of friends to talk after the match.
Do you think playing an instrument is difficult?
Yes, I think it's very difficult.
Why?
Because there are a lot of things to approve and study.
Federica, do you think playing computer games is boring?
No, I like it
Why
because a lot of these are good and funny.
Do you think reading is interesting?
Yes, because I like read books and I like adventures book.
So Luca, which of these hobbies do you like best?
I prefer watch TV because a lot of the time I watch TV with my sister or my family.
And Federica, which of these hobbies do you like best?
Watch TV or read books.
Okay, thank you. Can I have the book now? Now, do you prefer to spend your free time alone or with other people, Federica?
With other people,
Why?
especially with my friends, because I have a lot of fun with they, and I'm.
And what about you, Luca? Do you prefer to spend your free time alone or with other people?
I prefer stay with my friends and with other people because it's much cool and funny.
And which is more fun, playing sports or watching sports?
Watching sports
Why?
because it's interesting and exciting.
And you, Federica, which is more fun, playing sports or watching sports?
Playing.
Why?
Because I love doing sport. I love do sports, and I like it.
Thank you. That is the end of the test.
Thank you.
Thank you.